So we should expect there to be major quantum breakthroughs, discoveries about our consciousness and our subconsciousness, and debates on the whole ethics behind AI. So this brings in this very heightened potential now for tsunamis and extremely large earthquakes. I also see issues happening out at sea with boats. And I see this plane, I had a vision of this plane going into the water. And now you yourself are going to have very heightened intuition, especially if you're here watching this and listening to this. This is the divine's way of letting you know, and your spirit guide's letting you know, prepare. Your intuition is going to be heightened. The month of November is going to be accompanied with so many issues, especially around technology, computer outages, power grid issues, and things that just break down. Like, for example, UPS or even Amazon drivers walk out or something related to that. But one of these trucking and walkout strike things feels like it's affecting the shipping of food. Like something hit the bridge in the center. Could have even been like a plane clipped into the bridge. Maybe that's why I saw the water thing with the water. Maybe they're connected in some way. Maybe not. The month of November is upon us, friends. Already, can you believe it? The year is literally flying by, but it is sure to go out with many big bangs and historic events playing out across the globe. We are about to experience major shifts and changes in governments across the globe, shifts and changes in laws and legislation that's going to anger the masses like never before. And even more people are going to step up and begin to rise up, stepping into their power in a whole new level. It's both a crazy time, but also quite an exciting time. We are about to witness protests like never before, friends. Millions and millions of people taking to the streets across the globe, to a point where law enforcement and National Guard are going to be called in to large cities, of course, and problems for the global economy, as globalists, of course, are taking their final big steps into pushing this digital ID in our faces, down our throats and the mark in our hands. And mass global surveillance, of course, is going to be accompanied with that. Will we survive the fight? Will we win the fight? The 11 vibration of November and the duality of the 2 vibration, along with these intense water transits that are in place and coming into place, is going to literally strike up emotions while presenting a window of healing for all of us, both personally and for the entire collective. So as I said, it's both an amazing, exciting time and maybe a little bit scary for some folks, but as I always tell you, don't be scared. Always be prepared. Always. This year's 9 vibration is certainly going to bring a larger collapse to the current systems, while we're also seeing many errors come to an end. Have you not noticed? And we're going to see many big names in music, Hollywood, politics, and other leaders exiting the earth plane or exiting high positions. Problems with the economy and this fight again against this whole globalist takeover that's happening that some people just aren't seeing, which is pretty sad. Our skies are about to become a large focus once more, as folks are going to start looking up, finally, instead of constantly looking down at their devices and cell phones. Potential space debris that's going to crash into the earth, and of course, many issues around airplanes, delays, cancellations, and lots of other headaches for travelers as we step through the month of November. November is likely set out to be both the most intense, but also the most powerful month of 2025, and perhaps maybe the most powerful in many decades. So hold on tight, friends, as we review predictions for November and the remainder of 2025. Welcome back to the Love Shack Studio. I'm your host, Joseph Tittel, aka Spiritman JT, Spiritual Medium, and welcome to the month of November 2025. We are only now just a few days into the month of November, and already it's beginning to look like another one of those global stage Oscar-winning shows for the month, and the month only just began. A month that I do feel is going to be the most intense, most powerful, and even the most life-changing month of 2025, both for us personally and for the entire collective. We have stepped into the magical vibration of the number 11 in numerology for November, and for the first time in 9 years, except this year, with all these current energies, being that we're in a 9-year universally on the planet, that 911 whole connection, and the current and incoming astrological transits, that is going to make this 11 vibrational month likely the most powerful of our entire lifetimes, maybe many lifetimes. The 11 vibration is also going to bring in this heightened level of intuition. People are going to be able to tap in real easily this month. It's going to bring in heightened intuition, creativity, and even inspiration. Remember that the 11 vibration is associated with both the third eye chakra, right here in between the eyes, and the crown chakra, which is the top center of the brain. This third eye chakra, the pituitary gland, is where our intuition and creativity and ideas and visions come from. Even visions of the future flow right through the third eye. While the crown chakra, the top center of your brain, the pineal, which looks exactly like a little pine cone. Interesting how we see that all through ancient text, all the way back to ancient Sumeria, where they're passing off pine cones, which is knowledge and wisdom. It's a representative of the crown chakra. It's also our connection to the divine source, ensuring all of us that there's this whole new level of ascension that's upon us, which is really exciting, especially if you jump on the wagon and do some work. Meditations are literally all you really need to focus on. Now, the two pillars of the number 11 and the 11 vibration actually represents a doorway. It represents this passage from the known to the unknown, from matter to spirit, and from human to the divine source. At the same time, this vibration brings with it emotional sensitivity, heightened empathic abilities, and sadly, a whole lot of anxiety for some people. Got to keep grounded, friends. You got to channel that stuff. This is all going to be heightened by the Mercury retrograde and the full moon energy shift that begins on November 5th. We're already in the pre-shadow Mercury retrograde, and then on the 9th, we go direct in Sagittarius. But on that full moon on the 5th, that welcomes in the first big energy tsunami waves of this final energy shift of 2025. And this makes me feel that November 5th is going to be a huge day. Energetically, especially energetically with frequencies and maybe also many major events happening across the globe. We have to watch what the globalists might do behind our backs, including, again, it's going to be that first big tsunami wave of energy that comes flowing in on the 5th. And now I'm recording this on the 3rd. Hopefully you're watching it on the 3rd, maybe the 4th, so hopefully you're catching this before the full moon. But even if you're catching it after, you're feeling it. So what can we expect on or around November 5th is major shifts in the Earth's plates, bringing about very large volcanic eruptions and earthquakes. The 5th is just the kickoff. Remember, it's the full moon in Taurus. Taurus is an Earth sign, so it does bring focus to the Earth. And the 5th is just the kickoff for all of this and other crazy weather activity for the weeks that are going to follow from the 5th forward, probably through till the end of the year. I expect something to occur around the markets as well, stock markets and all the markets, perhaps likely a huge drop in many different markets coming up in the coming weeks. We can also take into account that 11 vibration, when it comes to the tarot, represents both justice and represents strength, depending on which tarot deck we're looking at. So this is going to emphasize truth, balance, and this whole inner power. It's time to step into our power like never before, friends. And we are going to see power struggles within corporations. We're already kind of seeing that, or at least knowing that. So power struggles within corporations, governments, and it's all going to begin to unravel while bringing about so many scandals, so many whistleblowers, and huge waves of truth that are coming this month. Quite exciting. We all love a good scandal. I like a good scandal as long as it's not my scandal. And whistleblowers are always a lot of fun too, especially if we can trust where those whistleblowers are coming from. And hopefully we'll also begin to see some type of accountability coming to light, because we certainly need that. And the 9 vibration of 2025 and the 11 vibration in November can definitely bring about karmic accountability. Now, we're going to see old structures. We are already seeing old structures and systems that are dissolving before our eyes. And that's all in order to prepare us for that one vibration that we step into in 2026. That one vibration is all about new beginnings. It's all about a new start and, a whole new way of life. It's definitely where we're heading. We just want it to be our way of life, not the new way of life that the globalists are pushing for. And we're still in that year, again, the 9 year of letting go of old things, not just personally, but for the entire collective. We are in a time of great, powerful spiritual cleansing that's taking place across the planet, individually, collectively, and Mother Earth herself. Now, we flow into the 9 year and the 11 month. We have now flowed into the 9 year and the 11 month, the 9/11 energy frequency, which is like lightning striking and illuminating the darkness. Flashes of light that illuminate what's in the darkness ahead and revealing the demons that are hiding beyond the shadows. So I would tell you to expect that there's going to be so many hidden truths being illuminated during these storms of lightning, these flashes of light that bring these demons to the surface to expose them once and for all. Especially hidden truths when it comes to things in the sky, hidden truths with outer space, otherworldly beings, galactic beings, aliens, whatever you want to call them, and things appearing in our skies across the globe. So if there was one month to choose for 2025, if I were to pick any month, which I did in the beginning of the year, for us to keep our eyes to the skies, it would certainly be the month of November. It certainly would be the month of November, friends. So keep your eyes to the skies this month. Really, really important. Another important fact about the 11 vibration is its link to higher consciousness and technology. So we should expect there to be major quantum breakthroughs, discoveries about our consciousness and our subconsciousness, and debates on the whole ethics behind AI. AI is creepy, and there needs to be debates and more talks about it. And those debates and talks are coming, especially this month and moving on as we step into 2026. Now that combination again of both the 9 and the 11 always brings about events that are going to stir the whole collective's empathy and the whole collective's emotions. So think back to 2011 and what happened on that date in September. So how it affected people, again, the collective. So therefore, it's likely that there's going to be multiple, but definitely one major disaster and some type of world movement that's going to end up uniting humanity on an emotional and on a spiritual level in November. Sometimes the good Lord and the divine and Mother Earth have to shake the crap out of things in order to wake people up. And this vibration would be a time for that to actually happen, to see the true threats that are out there and to see some truth at the same time. Now, with all the water transits that are going into place, it is really easy to predict that we are going to see major flooding events and other events revolved around the waters, like we saw back in July. Do you remember late July into early August? How can you forget that time period, friends? That was intense. I feel this month's going to be even more intense. So this brings in this very heightened potential now for tsunamis and extremely large earthquakes. And I'd say that we'd be seeing earthquakes 7.5 or higher, perhaps even witnessing an 8.0 or even higher than that before the month comes to a close. And even in early December, because December feels shaky too. Let's get through November and these transits and numbers first. We are going to see many tsunami warnings, which we saw in that last cycle, late July, August. Tsunami warnings. We even saw the one with Russia that hit Russia, luckily no people, and that big volcanic eruption. So I would say, again, we're going to see definitely lots of tsunami warnings like we did the last time, and at least one actual tsunami between now and early December. I also see issues happening out at sea with boats. And I see this plane. I had a vision of this plane going into the water. And in that vision, I saw rescue teams, in the lights looking for wreckage and obviously survivors. I feel this is really close to the edge. So close to, I would imagine, close to a shoreline, waterline, or land felt close to an edge, whatever that may mean. And I actually feel that there may actually be several people pulled out of the water alive. So it's almost more like a crash landing in the water. Kind of reminds me back in that year when Captain Soley landed in the Hudson River, which was in my visions and predictions that year, very clearly actually, creepy as that was. Kind of reminds me of that, but a little bit more on the disaster side, meaning that likely people were perishing in this, wherever this may be. I'm not sure where it is. It's just the vision that I'm sharing with you. I also see a lot of issues happening around ships and boats, and another norovirus getting loose on at least one cruise ship, locking them down and quarantining the cruise ship for a week. Now, we've already been witnessing so many systems that are being questioned, while at the same time they're dissolving before our eyes within the governments. People are no longer trusting. They actually never should have been trusting to the government's plans, blaming leaders before realizing that there's actually something much bigger behind the curtain controlling things, friend. There are puppeteers behind the curtains. And this veil is lifting, and humanity is beginning to see the truth. And that's important. Remember, there's always going to be those that aren't going to awaken. I tell you that time and time again. You might be in, and even sadly be in a relationship where you're awakened and that partner is not going to awaken. So don't even try. Just be the vision for yourself. Be that in what you want to see in the world. Now, you yourself are going to have very heightened intuition, especially if you're here watching this and listening to this. This is the divine's way of letting you know, and your spirit guide's letting you know, prepare. Your intuition is going to be heightened. Your creativity is going to have lots of sparks throughout the month. So put those sparks to light. Use that creativity. Pay attention to your dreams and this heightened memory of dreams that's happening. You'll start to remember them where you may not have before. Along with this whole possibility of receiving some type of prophetic visions, prophetic dreams, things that are happening in the future with that heightened intuition. No better month, friends, than this month of November to truly tap in, to meditate, and to stay grounded. There's so much more to come before 2025 goes out with a huge bang. Hey, I just want to take a moment to welcome you back to the channel, and hey, welcome you to the channel if you're new here. My name is Joseph Tittel, spiritual medium, aka Spiritman JT. If you're new here and you want to vibe with the tribe and have accurate predictions, prophecy, and great content, be sure to smash that subscribe, the bell, and all so you get notifications. And also, be sure to hit that thumbs up, love, like button, because that button shows your appreciation for this channel and the hard work and time and energy goes into it. It also shows the algorithms that you like this kind of content and you want more of it to show up on your feed, whether it be from this channel or similar channels. So be sure to hit that thumbs up button. Big thank you to all the members of the community on YouTube and all the members of my Subscribe Star Awaken Your Spirit community and all the contributors to this channel who help make this free content possible for everybody else. I thank you with infinite love and gratitude. Down below in the description, you'll find the link to Subscribe Stars Awaken Your Spirit community, all the links to my social media platforms. Be sure to give me a follow on those platforms, and let us move on with the rest of this forecast. So much is happening in November, friends. I got to tell you, so much between now and the end of the year that you have to really stay up to par with my content and the predictions, even those that I put out last month. Lots of stuff, and I know lots of people miss some of that stuff. You miss one video, you can miss a lot of information, so be sure to check it out. Remember, there's always also recommended videos down below in the description as well. Let us move forward with the forecast for November 2025. The month of November is going to be accompanied with so many issues, especially around technology, computer outages, power grid issues, and things that just break down. Certainly, it is definitely, friends, I assure you, not a month to go out and purchase anything that has to be put together, and definitely nothing that is electronic or motorized. Don't get things fixed or repaired either if you can avoid it, because they likely will not get fixed or repaired correctly. And you're going to regret those purchases and trying to do anything related to that. So wait until early December before you make those purchases or attempt to put things together or anything like that. The month of November is a bit of a traveler's nightmare, I got to be honest, as we step into these delays of Mercury retrograde, big time, which is going to bring lots of problems around travel and around accident-prone energies again. Remember those accident-prone energies back in the summertime? They're back, and this is going to heighten the amount of accidents, especially on roadways and even on runways. More issues with planes, making emergency landings. Don't let that deter you from traveling, friends. Always know in your heart that you're safe and taken care of. And if there's a delay, take it as the universe making that delay happen so that there's not some incident or accident. And we're going to see more and more traffic jams on the roads due to accidents and lots of bridge problems. Probably has a lot to do with not just the accident-prone energy, but the water transits. But I see a lot of bridge problems and a lot of bridge closures. I even see something happening, and I had this vision, and I shared it in the last prediction video. Or maybe it was in my November forecast and prediction video. So if you want the whole forecast with all the transits and everything that's happening for November, be sure to check that video out. That was put out right before Halloween, the 30th, I believe. But I'm going to share this with you again because it's coming to me, this vision clearly, where I see this bridge, and it's like dusk, then dark. So it's almost like maybe around, we'll say, and it gets dark certain places earlier now. But I see from a distance as I'm looking like down the river, where I see the flashing lights on both sides of the bridge, but I also see smoke coming from the center of the bridge as if something maybe hit it. I don't know if it was hit by an airplane or something exploded on the bridge. And then I see like boats, like rescue boats or Coast Guard boats rushing down the river towards the bridge, as if they're coming from like ocean. So that's a little more information I got this time. It almost feels like they're coming from a bigger body of water and coming up the river towards the bridge. So I'm not sure, but that comes to me again, and I want to share that with you. And recently I did have 2 different bridge collapses that I had visions of. Again, one appeared to be around dusk, whereas the other one seemed like it was a bright daytime to me. Could even be early morning. The one was a bridge collapse that I also saw, and I saw this from a distance. But I couldn't tell what it was that may have taken down the bridge. It just looked like the bridge collapsed. But it didn't feel natural to me either. And again, the other bridge, of course, is the one I just shared from a distance, with the flashing rescue lights on both sides of the bridge, the Coast Guard or boats rushing to the scene, which now feels to me like they're coming from a larger body of water, like they're coming from the ocean or something. And again, it was either like something hit the bridge in the center. Could have even been like a plane clipped into the bridge. Maybe that's why I saw the water thing with the water. Maybe they're connected in some way. Maybe not. It could even be that something exploded on the bridge. Could even be something missile related. I don't know about that, but just a thought. Could be a vehicle that exploded. We'll have to see how that plays out, and hopefully it doesn't play out at all. It's always the hope when it comes to predictions that aren't so joyful. Now, I also see major problems with delays at airports. Some people are stranded at one airport in a vision I had. And this could be like here in the United States, right around the Thanksgiving holiday, one of the highest times of travel here in the United States. I'm not sure about the holidays in other countries or what you may be celebrating, but if you are celebrating any holidays and travel times in November, expect there to be huge problems around airports and delays. And it feels to me that some of these people in my vision are stranded due to some type of outages that occur, while others seem stranded due to some type of a sudden storm system, like a big snowstorm system or something sweeps in and it grounds all the planes. The other one felt like an outage. I'm not sure if that's a power outage or an outage with their computer systems, but it felt like a big outage, perhaps even cyber attack. Another thing we're going to see a lot of in the month of November. I feel that there's going to be problems around trains and subway systems as well. I see a temporary closure of a subway due to some type of issues stranding folks. Feels like they're stranded trying to get to work or trying to get home from work. And I also saw a vision of a train derailment that seemed pretty serious, that did involve a passenger train. And I feel that this is somewhere in Europe. Now, this is just a guess, but a good guess might be Germany, Poland, maybe United Kingdom. We'll have to wait and see. And again, hopefully it doesn't come into fruition. And I also feel that there's some type of strange fire around a subway car. And it feels to me like it's being set ablaze by some crazed individual. Which makes me think, in one of my past predictions, I talked about an attack at a subway. And that just happened over there. I believe it was in the United Kingdom, where I think a total of 9 people were stabbed and by some cray-cray person on the subway or on the train. That just played out from a past prediction. So we'll probably see a lot of that now that comes to my mind, where we're going to see a lot more crazy incidents happening on subway cars, especially trains, but definitely subways. Just like crazed people on airplanes flipping out and being taken off the airplane. Just heightened emotions this month, really heightened emotions. In turn, people can't control their emotions. They can't control their anger, or they take things out on other people. So just be mindful of that. And if somebody tries that with you, just turn and unplug. I am unplugging from your energy. Thank you. Walk away. You'll be so glad you did. But again, there's some type of strange fire that I saw on a subway car. It felt to me like it was being set ablaze by some cray-cray person. So expect there to be crazy people. New York subway feels pretty intense. Chicago subway. Subways in Germany. So it's going to be no holds bars. It's everything related to travel, because remember, Mercury does roll over travel, and we are in that Mercury retrograde or heading into it. So be very mindful, friends, when you're out traveling, and always expect there to be delays. The month of November is going to be similar to late July and early August, if you remember. But this time, it's like July and August on steroids, because the energy of emotions is going to be heightened, and those who are, again, not good at channeling those emotions into positive are basically going to lose their marbles. And they might lose their marbles in public. So we're going to see more, unfortunately, angry people. More concerned people, too. And even the narcissists are going to come out of the woodworks again like they did back in July. Just saying. So just be mindful, friends. Keep yourself grounded. And if need be, keep to yourself. And remember to unplug from those energies. With emotions also comes people stepping into their power. That's a wonderful thing. And demanding change. This is a time where people step up, and we can step up together and really step into our power, demand change, and even resist the changes they're pushing upon us, like the whole digital ID resistance that's happening, which you're not seeing that in mainstream media, and the protests happening all over the United Kingdom against the whole digital ID. Refuse it, friends. That's what we got to do. We have to say no to the mark of the beast. No matter how much they try to drag us down and pull us down, and they will. Something we all need to resist and say no to. If we band together and we all have the same vision for one and for all, we will win. We will win. But it's the only way that we can win, friends. And remember, this 11 vibration is powerful enough to make this all happen for us. And what will happen is more and more people are also going to go on strike. We're going to see people walking out from their jobs. We're going to see teacher walkouts. And we're even going to see students walking out in protests. So it's going to be interesting. And this is, again, when people step into their power and they have it, when we have enough is enough, things start to shift. And yeah, lots and lots of protests are going to happen, more than ever likely. And many are sadly going to become violent due to the heavy energies and the emotions. So I tell you, friends, do your best to avoid these negative vortexes of energy, because that's what they are. They're little negative vortexes of energy that come in like little tornadoes, invisible tornadoes. And these negative vortexes of energy and people don't mix good together. So stay peaceful. Remember, the globalists, that's what they want. They want division and chaos. Do not give it to them. Do not let that happen. I see major protests happening in Washington, D.C., New York City, Paris, France, London, Berlin, and the list just goes on and on. Going to be interesting. I see millions of people taking to the streets across the globe. I had visions of, sadly, National Guard or law enforcement, large amounts of law enforcement, and even in some countries where they call in the military, and the military take to the streets in large cities. So remember, That's the globalist theme. Order out of chaos, right? Cause chaos and bring order out of chaos. Digital IDs, it's for your safety, friends. It's so that you're safe and everything's good. And then we can just push you into the digital system and take whatever money we want out of your accounts, and the list goes on. So I stress to you all, friends, hold in the peace and hold in the light, and let us not give in to the globalist takeover. So many scandals are going to unfold, and this whole parade of whistleblowers and truth being divulged. This is all going to add to the emotions of the collective and people's desire to really stand up and protest. We could likely see the biggest protests and gatherings of people across the globe, perhaps than ever in history. That's somewhat exciting. And as I said, I see walkouts and I see some type of strikes or walkouts taking place around a trucking or shipping company, which would also, to me, feels like it's going to affect food, getting where it needs to go. So I would say that we could see protests forming. I see visions of protests forming outside of big corporations, such as Amazon, and even angry protesters outside of banks or financial institutions. And I don't know where that's happening. That could be over there in Japan, actually. But going back to these strikes around trucking companies, one of these feels like it could be a major shipping company. Like, for example, UPS or even Amazon drivers walk out or something related to that. But one of these trucking and walkout strike things feels like it's affecting the shipping of food. And I feel like some of this is happening up in Canada as well, because it just got pulled up to Canada. So expect there to be that and these other big protests happening around corporations outside of their properties. Again, Amazon, angry protesters around banks and financial institutions. Something's happening with the banking systems. Banks begin to fail again, and banks begin to close again. Now, there is a lot of energy when it comes to humanitarian gatherings of people, likely due to an event or several events that are going to touch people's emotions really, really deeply. I feel a gathering of mourning that takes place in many places. Some due to maybe the loss of a loved or adored person or persons, whether they be a celebrity, a leader, a musician, what have you. But also the gathering of people that I feel is happening to aid in helping out others. And I feel that we're going to see large fundraiser type of events and concerts taking place in order to assist some type of ravaged area and ravaged people. So I'm not sure how that all plays out, and it probably is tagged to other past predictions that I have made. So overall, November's going to be, a touchy month, and it's going to touch each and every one of us in some way or another, likely in many ways. And it's all part of our ascension, friends. It's all part of our ascension process and this strong time of healing for all of us and a time of letting go, using that 9 vibration in 2025 to help us do so. Mercury retrograde also can help us to let go and release things as well. There's also those that are going to resist the energies and the incoming light codes from this heightened sun flare activity that's also coming in the next few weeks. This can make crazy people a little bit crazier. Just saying. This can heavily affect people's mental health and cause some folks to go off the deep end, doing crazy things, like pow-pow events, for example, raiding grocery stores or whatever else they can feed into or trouble they can get into. So therefore, we will also see more senseless attacks on innocent people. This is this heightened window when it comes to fear attacks happening across the globe. People using vehicles as weapons. And again, pow-pow events or other organized fear attacks on big cities. So it's not really a good time, friends, to be in big crowds this month. Avoid the big crowds, especially if you're in a crowd in a big city. And avoid being near groups of people, near roadways, and where vehicles can be used against you. Just be mindful and be safe while you're out there, friends. I feel that we are about to witness a wave of people passing away, a wave of deaths, especially around high-profile folks like celebrities, musicians, leaders, and so forth. Not just in November, but I feel like now through the end of 2025. Now, somebody that comes to mind, and believe you me, this is not somebody that comes to my mind, but she did, Kim Kardashian. She popped in my mind. Then she popped up on a computer in front of me, which was really random and odd. Not my kind of people, but I go with what pops in my mind and what spirit gives me. And I feel like there's something coming up around her. Something maybe happening around her and her family. Something with her health. If I think I recall, I looked her up. I think she's October 21st, if I remember correctly. Which would put her in a 4-year, which could be something that happens with her health. Or there could be something with her health or even a funeral attendance and her attending some big funeral, a family member's funeral perhaps. We'll have to see. Jack Nicholson is another one that has been coming to my mind a lot lately, and I talked about him in the past throughout the year. But I see some kind of special honors that are happening for Jack Nicholson. And this could actually be because he passes away. For example, the next Oscars, which is what I think in early in the year, maybe February, March. So the next Oscars does some type of honoring of Jack Nicholson. And again, likely this would be to show the legacy left behind by somebody that's no longer with us. So prayers to Jack Nicholson. He's an awesome actor. He don't do it anymore. Now I also see a woman of beauty, highly loved, comes out of Asia, perhaps Japan, perhaps a big influencer of some sort, or I don't know what they have over there, if they have queens or princes or princesses or what they have. But it feels like it could even be like that. It doesn't feel like somebody old. It feels like somebody, young, or at least too young to be passing. And I feel like there's a tragedy that goes on around this woman. And I feel like so many people gather to pay their respects to her. I don't know who this is. We'll have to see how it plays out. It looks like a very colorful celebration with parades and just a big honoring of this person. Again, it could be Japan, but if not, definitely somewhere in Asia. Maybe a high famous, I don't know. I don't know what their culture is like over there or who the famous people are there. Maybe someone will let us know down below in the comments. And it's going to get really strange, friends, as we see so many legends that are going to be passing away, signifying the end of many eras. Like, it feels like a string of passings. We saw, example would have been Ozzy Osbourne's passing. There were a lot this year, but we'll just use Ozzy as a marking of time, because that's what it felt like to me, a marking of time where many people were going to follow right behind him. Likely many in the music industry, many well-known actors, and former leaders, perhaps even some current leaders. Well, definitely some current leaders. And I feel this now through January of 2026. So we'll keep our eyes peeled, but it feels to me like many eras are coming to a close. I feel we are about to endure major issues with the economy and with the banking systems. And I feel the dates November 5th could have some type of an impact on the markets. It is the full moon, the 5th. And then also towards the end of the month, the 22nd, right around there, I feel like big changes in markets. Crazy. It feels all crazy and weird to me. And I feel like, again, November 5th could be a time that has an impact on the markets. It could be positive or negative. Likely it's going to be a negative one. And I also feel that the stock market is going to have some ups, but more major downs and plunges. See, like the Dow average down quite significantly. And I feel that there's problems around banks. And I feel that there's going to be protests, as I mentioned earlier, in many countries around banks and financial institutions. Why would that be? Likely because people can't get their money. And I feel at the same time, or Spirit had me feel, that banks are getting very desperate. What does that mean exactly? This cannot be good, friends, when it comes to the consumer if banks are getting desperate. And I see people trying to get money from bank accounts and banks not being able to provide the funds and limiting how much funds you're able to get. And I feel a need to watch the euro very closely, the yen very closely, followed by the dollar, of course. So all eyes on the euro right now. That should determine where things are going to go, when things are going to follow like a domino effect. I also had a vision of many people lining up, holding bags and jars filled with change, like loose change. Like they're lining up to cash in their change. But why is the real question? Why would people line up to cash in their change? Is it out of desperation, or is it a need for money? Like they need money, which is also a desperation, so cash in your change? Or, this is more likely the case, because banks are calling for us to cash out that spare change, cash out those piggy banks for some strange reason, like they're eliminating, change, probably eliminating all fiat currency eventually. And it feels to me like, friends, cash it in now. It's like a cash it in now or never scenario. So we're going to have to see how this one plays out. I see visions of banks turning the open sign over to closed. I had this vision of someone walking up and just turning this bank sign over to closed. So I took this as spirit showing me that banks are going to close for some strange reason and close when people getting ready to walk into the bank, even though the hours should still be. I also see banks, not all banks, but likely more smaller banks, getting away with robbery, like a bail-in type of situation. You know what a bail-in is? Look it up if you don't. Where banks basically take claims to people's, money. And it feels to me that this starts off small. Probably at small banks, but like a virus, it begins to spread very quickly. I see drops and rises in precious metals again, and continue to feel, as I have for years, silver especially is a good asset to have in your possession, a really good asset to have in your possession. Because if everything went to zero, what do you have? And I feel silver is going to spike again. All metals will, including copper. Don't forget about copper. That's a good one, too. Buy yourself some copper bricks. In the realm of crypto, Bitcoin feels very, very vulnerable. Very, very vulnerable to me. I don't know what's happening with Bitcoin, but it just feels like it all of a sudden becomes very unstable. And I feel like there's like a big drop, maybe a great drop that happens with Bitcoin, which I've gotten that in the past. And I don't have timelines on things, but when I get past predictions that come up again, it's usually because we're closing in on it. So that one feels very, very vulnerable to me. And this would be something to watch for. And of course, jump in, as the globalists and the billionaires do. Jump in, buy after the fall, right? That's what they tell you, buy after the fall. And I feel by late November, many cryptos will rise, especially the ones I've been telling you about. XRP, Ripple, HBAR, XLM, definitely ones to keep an eye on. If you want to plug into that digital system. Again, the physical system's better. Digital system, again, your money is not physical. You don't have it. And then you give a system control over that money. Now, others, I feel like when it comes to the crypto markets, there's going to be a lot that are going to start disappearing, especially those little meme coins. I wouldn't mess with those meme coins. I just see a lot of people's money disappearing and going to zero, and I just see this whole vision of them, so many going to zero. So be aware. Now, real estate, I feel, is going to continue to climb, and the Fed's going to continue to mess with the interest rates to a point of making the markets even worse. And this would be really a great time, friends, as always, to stock up on food for another rise in food prices that's coming. Invest in practical, physical things. Again, food, water, survival things, precious metals. If I were to place my bets, that's where I would be placing my bets and my money on those items. Food, water, survival, precious metals. I see major issues arising around insurance companies. All types of insurance companies. They're mostly all frauds anyway, right? They're all about the bottom line dollar. Whether it's your homeowner's insurance, whether it's health insurance, a lot coming up with health insurance, especially here in the United States. And it feels to me like it falls into several different categories, actually. The category of truth being revealed and whistleblowers stepping forward from these insurance companies and their evil practices, so that truth coming out, which may bankrupt some insurance companies. Then there's the category of accountability, where these companies will finally be held accountable for such bad practices, not fulfilling people's, what they should be paying for and what have you. And finally, a lot of people are going to be falling from positions within the industry of insurance companies. So I would tell you to expect to see major layoffs due to their AI takeover within the insurance companies, while others are going to be forced to resign and move on because they're caught for doing the unthinkable, whatever that may be. There we go with scandals again, friends. So keep your eyes peeled towards insurance companies. I see a lot happening around fires and explosions, and it feels to me that we just stepped into this explosive time, like big explosive time, both figuratively and literally. And I cannot help but to feel that some of the visions that I'm having of large explosions are somewhat nefarious and set to explode on timers. So fear attacks, perhaps, likely. I also see an explosion, a large explosion occurring over, within a city high-rise building. It reminded me of some past visions that I had, so it's probably related. But I saw a large explosion in a high-rise building. I saw in the vision the windows blowing out, and then it sounded and felt like and I could feel the vibration. And it felt like a double explosion, but I only saw the one. So I don't know if it's within the same building. I only saw the one explosion in the building, but I felt two explosions and two vibrations. So I don't know if it's within the same building or just within the same area where there's two separate explosions. Now I see another large wildfire and this desperate evacuation somewhere near a coastal area. It reminded me so much of Lahaina, but also reminded me of Palisades fires too. And this feels like the same aspect to me, friends, and I think you all know what I mean, that it's being fed by heavy winds, and it feels to me like the blame is going to be pointed towards, faulty electrical wires, but we're all deep down going to know the truth. So this all feels very much, way too much like Lahaina to me, and a huge cover-up and likely a huge land grab as well. I'm not sure where this is other than what I described to you in my visions. I also just had a new vision of an explosion at the edge of a bridge. And it was at the edge this time. And I see this in a distance, and I cannot help but to feel like it's an act of war of some sort, like a missile act of war or something taking place in one of the current conflicts, likely Russia and Ukraine. That would be the most likely. Could even be that India, because India comes to my mind. So perhaps a similar bridge explosion happens in India? Or could this even be a reigniting of the conflict between India and Pakistan? It's very, very possible. We'll have to keep an eye on that bridge. So that's 3 different bridge visions that I've had so far in the past week or so. Now, I also feel like, sadly, conflict is going to be very unavoidable in the month of November, because we have these emotions that are heightened, and countries and their military can very quickly react on those emotions or overreact. Overreact would probably be a better word. And I feel that 3 big conflicts are about to ignite this month. And I cannot help but to feel that the United States is a part of at least one of these coming conflicts. An easy guess, of course, would be what's happening there in Venezuela, or, what the propaganda tells us is happening. And I feel that there's a reigniting of conflict in the Middle East. And I feel escalation with Russia that may actually somehow involve Poland. And I said that years ago, of Poland being pulled into it. Let's hope not. At the same time, I do feel that conflict in Europe, the conflict, Russia-Ukraine, will hopefully come to an end by early 2026. It's even possible it could go to an end by the end of this year, maybe even this month. We can hold that in the light. Now, going back to the skies and space activity, I feel we are going to see a lot of strange things The sky is falling. The sky is falling. Yeah, strange things falling from the sky. Now, I remember the last time I said that, people were reporting that black stuff that was all over their cars and vehicles. Then we had the fog thing. Remember the whole fog thing that happened? The fog conspiracy. Really interesting, right? So I see things falling from the earth. Most going into the ocean, thankfully, but not all. I feel that some of this is going to be called space debris. And I feel there's some kind of issue around a falling satellite. And then I see this vision of a missile launch going sour and exploding. So this is likely connected either to SpaceX or, Bill Gates is about to launch 65,000 satellites, so maybe connected to him. I don't know who's launching them. I also feel that we are going to see space rocks, meteors, not 3i Atlas, don't worry, but space rocks, meteors crashing into unlikely places, such as all of a sudden we see a story in headlines about a meteor that crashes into a parked vehicle in the city. We just see this big rocks in a smush car beneath it. That was my vision anyway. And then another meteor that clips a building, which reminded me of what happened in Russia. When was that? Was that back in like 2019 maybe? Maybe even before that. Could have been 2019. Remember the video of it. It caused damage and caused everything to shake. Kind of reminds me of that. And I think that one went into a building actually, or went through a building. So the other thing is I also see falling from the sky is a lot of volcanic ash due to a massive volcanic eruption, an eruption that is so large that folks are going to be shoveling the ash from surfaces, like clearing snow after a blizzard, kind of like that. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Lots of things coming, and I have a lot more in detail with coming earthquakes, floods, and flooding events. A warning for New York City, because I keep seeing this vision that I had a while back, which means we're probably approaching this. I warned of floods and flooded streets in New York City, which just happened over this past weekend. Again, I'm recording this on November 3rd. But I also had a vision of the Statue of Liberty in a big storm and her arm falling off, which could be also symbolic. Doesn't have to actually be technical. It depends on the way I get visions. Sometimes visions are just symbolic, showing that there's maybe a fall of liberty, a fall of the torch. But also I had visions of a big black storm heading in towards New York City. And I feel like New York City's in for it. Not only that, with protests and coming fear attacks that are going to take place within the city of New York. Not good. Not good for New York City. The other thing I just had a recent vision of, which reminded me of the movie Leave the World Behind. Remember, they put everything in front of us, friends, in movies and media and so forth. And in my vision, I saw pamphlets falling from the sky, which felt to me like they were being dropped off by drones. If you remember in the movie Leave the World Behind, they were dropping off pamphlets. Remember where those pamphlets were associated with? They were associated with China and Islam, mainly Islam, and Iran. So is that symbolic too? Because Spirit will show me things that are symbolic. Now, it felt literal, like drones are dropping out pamphlets. I don't know what the pamphlets are. We'll have to see where that plays out. If I were to pick a place, I would say somewhere in Europe this happens, maybe in the United Kingdom, maybe here in the States, maybe multiple places. Because the skies, remember, Spirit said, keep our eyes to the skies, come to think of it. And things falling from the sky would be little pamphlets. I didn't even think about that until now. But that's what I have for you, friends. And I have a lot more coming up for you on Tuesday's Tea Time. So be sure to tune into the first episode of Tea Time on November 4th. Tuesday's Tittel Tea Time is when we discuss world events and how they reflect on predictions, past predictions, with new predictions each and every week. This is a jam-packed month. I just did a Black Mirror prophecy video last week. Be sure to check out those predictions. There's so much coming, so much more to focus on that I could do this video for a whole nother hour, but I'm going to keep it short this time. And thank you so much for watching and making it to this point, and for clicking that thumbs up, love button, and helping out the channel by doing so. And thank you to all the supporters who make this free content possible for everybody else. You can sign up down below on YouTube, or down below at the subscribe star in the description down below. Be sure to also sign up for the free newsletter. And if you want more information about me, or you want to schedule a private session with me, you can go directly to my website, spiritmanjt.com. That's how you do it. That's the only way to do it, directly on my website. or josephtittel.com, Tittel.com. I hope you all have an amazing month of November. I hope you flow through these energy waves and tsunami waves with ease and joy. Ride those waves like the pro surfer that you are, baby. Ride those waves like the pro surfer you are. Until the next time, friends, remember, be bold, be true, be kind. Be you. Let your light shine ever so brightly and have a beautiful rest of your day. Namaste and much love, friends.